recorded, and I like that. Hang on a second. Let me get the internet correct for you on this one. I got the 5G. That should be okay.
Okay, I'm not editing any of that out, by the way, because I really can't be bothered. So it's just going to go up as it is. Yeah? We just present ourselves as we are. There's no polishing of ourselves. So
that's why people like us. That's why people liking us now.
Oh, you think so?
Who knows? Do we really care?
No, yeah, exactly. So anyway, so thanks for joining or watching the video. We're not joining the slides. We're pre-recording this video. Myself and Richard are talking about masculinity in lots of different ways as a lead up to the retreat that we're hosting at the end of August, which is going to be a 3-day retreat, couple of nights, where we're going to be looking at all of these issues. Really, we're going to look at what it means to be a man, and if anything, really, what's your role in the world? What's your purpose? Maybe helping you kind of let go of some things that have happened in the past, maybe helping you be a bit clearer about what's going to happen in the future, maybe also helping you sort of connect with yourself, really, and you know, not, I don't know, maybe that's just it, connect with yourself. So we thought we'd talk about fatherhood today. So I don't know, do you want to go ahead, Richard? Why don't you lead us in with that one?
Yeah, fatherhood. I mean, fatherhood, it's a broad subject. I mean, we can cover so many different angles here on this discussion here, but from what I'm getting is there's no right or wrong, just as it is. And yeah, you know, and actually we get caught up, we get identified, we get pulled in so many different directions as a father, and then being in the fatherhood mode. You know, there's a lot of information out there, but I mean, the most positive, the most understanding information that you can have is yourself, is your knowledge, your wisdom about how best to deal with being a father or in fatherhood. You know, there's issues for me that when I have my children and I see them, because I'm divorced, that opportunity to be with them in that moment is more precious, more understanding, more, it's a bond. You know, to receive the messages for Father's Day here in Belgium, it was on the 13th of June, just Sunday, just yesterday. And to receive the messages from my children, although they're not with me this week, it was lovely. You know, there was no prompting, no nothing. They just wanted to say what they wanted to say. And that's comforting, because that's what I want my children to be like.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to speak up and share what they wish to say, knowing that they know where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, I like what you're saying though. You kind of want them to show up as their authentic selves as well, and not feel like they're constrained by any kind of idea of what it also means for you to be their father in some way.
Yeah, pointedly put, very nicely put.
I think, I mean, like you say, it's such a broad topic, and it's something that's constantly evolving, being a father. I mean, because your children just get older and they change. And I notice other friends of mine who are fathers who've got young children, and they're still in this space of like, oh, I don't want them to change. I don't want them to stop. I want them to stay where they are. And I normally find that's around about the 7 or 8 age. But it's such a great thing because you grow with them. And I know from my own experiences of being a father, and especially for me, my father died when I was 9 years old. And obviously that was something that became a very pivotal thing in my life. It became something that I hooked a lot of things onto, and blamed a lot of things onto, and you know, made it an excuse in some way for the way that I showed up sometimes. But one thing it did help me do, one thing I'm really grateful for now, I mean, I can look back at my father's death and look at it from a point of view of gratitude, because it really helped me become a father, because I didn't have a role model. I didn't have anybody there that I could take a template off and say, oh well, this is how to be a father. My father, by all accounts, was a very kind and loving man, so I didn't have any kind of other trauma there or any other, I'd obviously had a connection. But he also wasn't around. He also was somebody who worked abroad a lot, and I didn't see him that much. And I too am divorced, so I divorced when my daughter was quite a young age. But I kind of, because I didn't know how to be a father, I spent a lot of time working out how to be one and thinking about it and reflecting on it and reading about it. But it always just came down to spending quality time and being present for my daughter. And we ended up probably having a much better connection, because I was always there when I had to go see her, and we spent time together alone, and lots of time, just doing things like walking in the woods and going on holiday and camping and things like that. And even now, just speaking about it, I can feel the emotion coming up about it. But yeah, it's you grow with your children as well, and you grow into fatherhood, and I don't think you stop growing into fatherhood. I think you're, at some point, that's always going to be there for you, right up until the moment that you stop being a father, when you stop existing, or that happens. You know what I mean? It's
totally.
always going to be there. Yeah.
Totally agree with you on that. I think it's always a learning experience for us all to be in this fatherhood. I have a similar situation as you, Gary, with my father passing away when I was in my early 20s. But also what I had, I didn't have the image, but my father was in bed for 6 years. He couldn't move. He had an issue which didn't allow him to be able to move his muscles in any form. So he couldn't drink, eat, he couldn't go to the toilet or anything. Yet that guy showed me, with all that he still had love. He still had a smile on his face every morning. And that filled my heart. Although physically he's not there, that feeling of his love that he had for me and my brothers and my sister, my mother at the time as well, it's indescribable. It's just a feeling of, he was always there. Even though he was ill, he was always there. We would laugh at Henry Cooper films and TVs. We'd have the videos on. We would cry and laugh. And then at the same time, he's laughing and crying because he's just peed in his bed. So, it was because the communication was just, we were rolling down with tears. And at the same time, he's like, I'm peed. It's like, and that was the beauty of him. That was the beauty of him. He knew he couldn't do anything, but he had the presence. And I remember some uncles and cousins who couldn't go and see him because they didn't want to see him in that way. They wanted to remember him in another way. And for me, that wasn't that. It was about him being who he was the most powerful thing. As a father, it allowed me, to understand that precious moments with the children. And even with my new partner, I'm divorced as well, but my new partner, there are moments where we have to be together. And it's important to love that person and to create that person every day. We take it for granted that we have, we're the father and we've got to do everything. No, we've just got to be present enough, create who our children want to be. How do we want our children to be? Who do we want to be for our children as well? And who do we want to be for our partner? And so on, the line continues. It's never ending. And that's the beauty of being this fatherhood experience, being in this fatherhood and that experience as well at the same time.
Yes, you can. It's a never-ending joy, really, isn't it? Taking that presence, that role, that whatever you however you want to express it, the energy of fatherhood, it's a never-ending joy. It's a never-ending peace for me that's always here that I can tap into. And as you say, there's no right and wrong way to be a father. And I know how that sounds. People are going to point to certain behaviors or aspects, should we say, of individual actions. But what we're talking about here is more the kind of the idea or the concept or the weight you put around it. That there isn't a right way to be. There's just a right way to be present in not even a right way, but there's just being present. There's just being in the space of presence and being in the space of the fatherhood energy that shows up when you're there.
And so what if you get it wrong?
Yeah.
So what? There's no right or wrong. I mean, you're just doing what you feel is right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what if you've made a mistake? You make your apologies, you forgive yourself
Mm-hmm.
for judging yourself, and you get on with it.
Yeah.
You recreate that again.
Mm-hmm.
I very, very quickly, Gary, I had my daughter, I had to drop her off for my partner, my ex-wife, sorry. And it was interesting how we had a conversation in the car about life. That was the first time really she really wanted to know more about what is life, what does it mean, and the joy of having that in a car conversation. And there were moments there we were just sat in silence, and I said, "Isn't that beautiful?" She went, "Yeah, I get what you're trying to tell me now."
I've got the gift of being a stepfather now, as well, which brings its own kind of joys and challenges at the same time. In terms of, because now I'm a stepfather to a stepson, and I kind of thought I had it all worked out, because I'd done it once with a daughter. And then, like, yeah, I know how to do this fatherhood thing or this stepfatherhood thing, it'll be fine. Raising us, and it was just completely different. And it was completely different challenges, completely different experience. And also finding my way in that relationship as well, and making sure that because there's different roles that we show up as a father. I think because one thing about being a father, it's not just about a relationship that you have with a direct child. It's also a relationship you have with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that relationship and put it into other relationships as well. So with my stepson, it's very much about again being present, again listening to him and being with him, but also making sure that I'm not taking anything away from his father as well, that he's got a strong relationship with his father, and making sure that relationship stays strong, and that when I need to, that I move into the background when I have to move into the background. But also the beauty of that is that myself and his father are quite friendly together, and we'll go and hang out together, and we can share the space together as well. And it not be awkward or difficult for us, is that I can drop back, and then there's also times when my stepson will show me love in the presence of his father at the same time, and not feel that it needs to say, oh no, I'm with my father now. Gary has to sort of go away. I can't interact with Gary anymore. Gary has to be. It's then more natural for him. It's just like, oh, there's an expression of love here, and I'm going to show love to Gary. Oh, there's an expression of love here, I'll show it to my father. And there's no, for him, there's no kind of trying to contain himself in any way around that situation.
Because I think you've hit a few things there. The expression is one part, especially for fathers, and that communication aspect was another part. But the fact that you're allowing him to be who he can be in front of his real father and his stepfather, without asking him or pushing him into one area and making him feel uncomfortable. You're just allowing him who he can be in that moment. And as you say, he's expressing love to his father, but it'd be a similar type of love to you. It's hard to put things into words when it comes into this, but it's everything is okay. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. And always has been. And always will be. It's and seeing that as a really deep truth is where your liberation and freedom lies. In however you're showing up as a man, whether it be in fatherhood or any other aspects of masculinity, or any other roles that you inhabit as a man. There's, seeing that it's always okay, and you're always okay. You're always whole and complete. Really is your step to liberation and freedom, and for you to be able to show up in that way that allows other people to be who they are as well in your space at the same time.
Yeah, I think you've highlighted the identity part.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no need to have that identity of being the father. By just showing up, being who you are, as you said beautifully, that's always needed. So hopefully with the men that come to the retreat at the end of August, that's a sample of the program. It's just being you. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's no identity that I'm like this and this is like this and I'm like this. No, nothing to do with that. We don't play that game. Here, you're just a human being who's come to have a really open, clear, honest conversation with other guys. And that's amazing. It's really deep, meaningful to have that opportunity just to spend time and to slow down.
Yeah.
And to slow down. I just realized myself, I've been creating my agendas today. I've been looking at what I've been doing. I've been in contact, and I've got this call. I have another call at 4. I have another call at 5, and then a call at 6. It's like, let's just appreciate this time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the experience that we're going to be creating in the retreat. Is this experience of being here, allowing whatever needs to show up, being present to yourself, and spending it amongst other people going through the same experience, and sharing that energy with no kind of expectations or constraints about how you need to come and how you're going to share that space with us. So I think that's kind of brings us to an end of our little chat discussion. Again, if people want to reach out to us, talk to us about the retreat, ask some questions in the comment section below, please do. Other than that, thank you very much for joining us on this little mini episode, and we'll be here again next week. I suppose there's a really kind of in English joke there about that last line, isn't there? But we won't.
It's goodbye for me, and it's goodbye for
goodbye for me. Yes, exactly. All right then.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for listening. See you again.
See you later. Bye bye.